Welcome back to our YouTube channel, Got Baseball Cards. I'm Doug here with Joe, the owner, and we wanted to spend a little time, maybe talk a little bit about 2020, and then give you our predictions for 2021.
That's right, Doug, and we've got plenty to talk about. Just looking back on last year, the crazy things that happened in our industry and in our planet, in our country. And then there's a lot to look forward to in 2021. So where you want to start?
Let's do a little review.
I
mean, 2020 started out literally 1 year ago.
Yeah, and things were looking really good. I remember I went to the Upper Deck Conference and the Tops Conference and last January and February, and everybody was excited. Everybody was looking forward. Corona was just, that's that thing happening overseas. No really worries.
If at all,
here.
even
If
in
at
the
all.
very beginning of the year, for sure. Pre-corona.
Yeah, and so we were all looking ahead to a great year, and things were just looking up, and then all of a sudden, the NBA shut down.
Yeah, I remember the Columbus Blue Jackets being one of the first teams to cancel a game, and I thought that was a little overreacting, but within 24 hours, I think Dallas Mavericks may have been they were in the middle of a game.
Yeah, it seems like.
And
or like they were warming up and then it was stopped or something. I remember going, oh, this is not good.
Yeah.
This is not good because, you know me, I'm a vision caster, and I was thinking like, what is this, I'm trying to think 5 steps ahead, and I'm like, okay, if the NBA's shutting down and NHL's shutting down and, and then they're like, baseball's never going to play, and NFL's not going to play, and so it was kind of doom and gloom there for a while for the industry because as I talked with friends in the industry, we all kind of had the perception. Many of us long timers, old timers, whatever I am, old guys who've been in the industry a long time,
old guys,
yeah,
yes,
have been through seeing the effect of strikes on the industry.
Very true.
And which was a shutdown. And so my thought was, this is kind of like every league going on strike, other than you're not necessarily mad at the guys for not playing, like the '94 baseball strike where they no World Series, but you're still have some of the same effects because like if the guys aren't playing, the guys aren't performing. If they're not performing, then their cards, who's going to chase their cards because nobody's playing and so forth. And so we really thought, man, the industry is going to really soften, and instead we saw just the opposite.
Yeah, it went from hold on, let's brace for a little bit of a slowdown in what was a booming business, I think, January of last year, to we need more help. I mean, literally overnight, and when everyone stayed home, the opposite of what I thought would happen, what Joe was saying, they decided to buy sports cards.
Yeah.
That was their comfort food,
Yeah.
almost. It was really crazy.
I still remember the day Ron Lee, who's been with me since 1992, he came in and there was this huge pile of orders. He goes, it looks like Christmas season, and this was April. And he was just like, order volume is insane. He goes, what is going on? And so we were still trying to figure it out. For a while we thought, oh, well, it's a temporary surge because people are at home and some got stimulus money and like, okay, we'll have this nice little buffer. This is nice. It won't last. And then it continued to build. And instead of products softening, they just kept going up and kept going up. And it just...
Yeah, I really do think it was almost like instead of one thing and another thing adding together and creating 2 times the volume, it was like they were multiplying times each other.
Yeah.
So it would go from, instead of 1 to 2, it went from 1 to 4, and then to 16. It just the levels didn't slow down. And in all honesty, I don't think they have slowed down.
No, they haven't. And so we have an exciting year to look ahead to in the industry, and we've got lots to talk about for 2021. So where do you want to start?
Well, quick little review of our 2020. What we'd like to know, Joe, is what do you think is going to happen in 2021? What do we need as a customer, or I really don't like to consider myself an investor because I am a collector, and I think most of our customers out there are collectors. But what do you see in 2021? Let's just start off with the biggest thing that we have going on, which is grading. What do you think is going to happen to grading in 2021 as far as submissions, values of certain grades, that type thing?
Well, where we sit today in mid-January, people cannot, buyers, collectors, investors, whoever, can't seem to get enough of slabbed rookies and slabbed autos, and especially, nines, tens, and then sevens and eight. I mean, we're seeing a huge growth even in the vintage market now. So right now, I mean, there's been a lot of stuff I sold where I thought, well, I really got top dollar for that, and then a couple of months later, I'm like, oh, should have held on to that one. Should have held on to that. I mean, I remember some of the Kobe second year, third year, LeBron second year, third year, some of the stuff we sold in nines and tens, and then I'm like, wow, they just continue to go up, and should have just held on to them. So I tell you what I do see, we're already seeing another major player coming into the industry, CSG, who is going to be the sports card grading division of CGC, who's been the lead comic grader for decades. They're launching, they hired some top-notch graders and from other companies, and so they're trying to make a big splash. SGC, I just had a talk with them last week. They have apparently grown the company. They've added a lot of employees, put a lot of time and effort into growing their ability to turn out a lot of cards and grading. So I think they're going to try to, make a bigger play in the splash in the industry. PSA, I know, has added, continue to add employees, buy more space out in California to do everything they can to try to catch up with the demand, which I'll give one example of what we went through in 2020. And I've used this example with customers because we get the complaints, we understand. I mean, I have thousands of cards that I'm waiting on myself personally. We as a company submitted more cards to PSA in 2020 than we had in the previous 22 years combined. We've been submitting cards since 1998. We sent more cards in 1 year than we did in the last 22 years total. Think amazing. About that.
That's what I see with PSA. Any company, you go from one day to the next and you get 50 times the volume, not 50%, but 5,000% volume. It's going to cause a whole confusion, and it's just not, no matter what the business is.
You're constant. I've had seasons in the business where we couldn't keep up with order volume, like during busy Christmas seasons. And I remember one year we went from 6 employees to 22 employees over the course of a month. And PSA's been experiencing that, but for months on end. Yeah. It's not temporary. It's like, hey, we need to add some people to get us through the next month. They're adding and then adding and adding and adding. And so I'm sure, in some ways for them, it's a beautiful problem because the sales are so good and they're so busy and there's such respect in the industry, but it's still, problem's not the right word, challenge. It's a great challenge.
And as long as they see it that way, for sure.
And so I think we're going to see, new ownership is supposed to take over, in April. And so hopefully they've got some brilliant ideas on how to ramp up production as far as turning the cards back out to customers quicker, because right now as we sit here we're looking at like 8 months, and that's for us, and we get preferred turnaround time. The general public, I know some are taking a year to get stuff back, and that's just not acceptable in the eyes of collectors and submitters, and it's understandable it's not acceptable. So hope, go ahead.
I've got a question, and maybe the psychology of the average person, we can't really get into that, we're not professionals, but why do people want PSA literally over any other grading company? And 20 years ago when I first had a few cards graded with you, I thought Beckett was it was the premium grading company, but PSA passed them, I assume, a long time ago. But do you have any idea why PSA is in such demand in crazy fashion over any other card slabber?
Yeah, well, don't get me wrong. I have, I greatly respect BGS. SGC. Don't know this new company as far as, what there's, until I start seeing more of their stuff graded, I can't really make a recommendation there. I have no problem as a collector or as a dealer buying graded cards of BGS or SGC or these other, those two companies in particular, and of course PSA. In general, the bottom line is the resale is better on PSA cards. Now, one thing PSA did years ago, which was brilliant, is they started their population report where you can keep up, and they also do their set registry. And they were way ahead of everybody doing their set registry. So people can build, there's people out there who say, hey, I've got the number 8 set on 86 Fleer basketball, or I've got the number 5 set on 57 Topps. That competitive gene, and so that's brilliant.
That's a good point.
So people don't go out there and buy, if they're building a 52 Topps graded set and they've got 75% of it in PSA, they're not going to go, oh, let me go buy a couple of BGS and SGC to stick in it. They want consistency. And so that's one of the reasons. Basically, they've been doing it the longest. They just have the most respect in the industry. Their resale is the strongest of all the companies. So again,
I guess
not to diss the others, but the resale is just better.
Perhaps with the volume of new collectors into the industry, I think it's also, they feel safe knowing that they're going to get a PSA slab and grade. And since even before the surge happened, PSA was the preferred grader, I think it just people feel more comfortable and more confident in it. But now it's even more than that. I mean, there's just percent-wise, how many cards of the cards you graded with PSA last year, how many cards do you think you graded with any other grading companies last year?
Oh, we graded in total with all the other companies was probably 1%.
1% out of all that. Yeah, that's really amazing.
So, now to understand, there are outliers. There's exceptions like a BGS 10, a pristine BGS 10 will often bring more than PSA 10s, especially a black label. So there are exceptions. So I don't want to make a blanket statement that's not accurate, because there are instances, and there's instances like somebody's got a Gem Mint 9.5 with a BGS 10 subgrade on the autograph. That there's times where that may bring more than a straight PSA 10 where the autograph's not graded. So there's always exceptions, but the general rule of thumb, especially on vintage, and your key rookies like a 93 SP Jeter or 89 Upper Deck Griffey, your star key star rookie cards in general are just stronger resale with PSA.
Fair enough. But I like your comment when we started this section, is that you don't even have a problem with the other grading companies. You're fine with them because you know
I respect what they do. Yeah.
You've been in the industry a long time. So anyway, I like having the new blood, I guess you could say, into the industry. It's made our jobs busier, our business better. So I think that kind of is one of the reasons for a lot of the things that have happened in these last, it's been a couple of years, but since COVID, we've had a lot of people, a lot of interest, which is great.
Yeah. So we've touched on grading a little. What else you want to look at?
How about let's find out about soccer. Soccer being one of the sports that never got a lot of hobby love, I guess you could say. But since I've been working here in 2 years or a little bit more, I can't tell you that I think soccer's been one of our biggest sellers across the board. It's been phenomenal. And again, being a collector for so long, they didn't even have soccer products out because there weren't people buying it. But
sometimes it was like every 4 years we'll put out something. So last January I was at right about this week, in fact, I was at a dinner with Dr. James Beckett and with a lot of other industry leaders at his house, and we were talking about what 2020 would hold for us.
And so this was January of last year. You were going to predict.
And I told him, I said, soon there will be, we always talk about the big four, baseball, football, basketball, hockey. And I said, by the end of this year, there'll be a big five. And some of the guys from Panini were like, well, yeah, we're seeing growth in soccer, but nobody, and honestly, even though I predicted that, I should have taken my own advice and just bought up a room full of soccer cases and sat on them for a year, because the growth in soccer this year was staggering. Soccer and basketball led the way in the growth in the industry this past year. And whereas it used to be, we have usbreaks.com where we do soccer breaks regularly. Austin Brown handles all that for us, and has a great, huge following. They actually have more Instagram followers than we do. So lots of followers over there. But we've always done that for years. We've done that, but now it used to be we could go back and buy more product readily and break more, whatever. And now it's like, hey, whatever we can get direct, we got our one shot, and then that's that. And it's being highly allocated, what we try to get from distributors. So people are chasing soccer like it's Zion rookie products. I mean, it's just, the demand is incredible now.
From my chair, I feel strongly that the last thing that I want to happen in 2021 is for the manufacturers just start making more cards, because there's more demand out there worldwide. Right. We can sell more. And that didn't work in the late 80s and the early 90s. So I'd rather there be scarcity than, I can get World Cup Prism 2022 soccer, you're pre-selling cases of it. I don't want to see that again. And I'm sorry that I can't get as much as I want today, perhaps a Prism football or something like that. But I feel strongly that the last thing anybody wants to see is just an abundance of product sitting around, because that'll kill everything.
Right. And one of the biggest limitations the manufacturers have now versus what they had then is literally getting enough. Like when you guarantee an autograph or 2 autos or whatever, the phrase I've often heard various leaders at Panini use is there's a limited amount of resources, meaning of autographs available to them. And they have to forecast their autographs months in advance.
I'm sure.
So they're looking for they're not traveling around during the NBA season and we're going up to a player at a game like, hey man, can you sign 100 stickers for me? They have to forecast well in advance. And so when a rookie takes off, it's not like they can just call him up and say, hey, we need another 5,000 autographs to stick in the next high-end product. It is what it is. So there's a limited amount per season often of what's available to put in products. And so same thing when you do numbered cards. If you do, there's, every box has 1 card to 99 and there's only 300 cards in the set. You can do the math.
Absolutely.
They can't print 5 times as many cases because you've got to hit those ratios. So even with insert ratios, control print runs.
Well, I'm hoping so.
Yeah, and that in the 90s it didn't matter, So that's another thing that. But back to your point on soccer, yes, I think we'll continue to see a lot of, with the lead up to 2022 World Cup, there'll be the whole soccer industry will continue to ramp up.
Put me down for a case of 2022 World Cup Prism soccer, please.
Yeah. Get in line.
What? Gosh, I didn't. All right, one more topic that I thought people might be interested in is if our business is growing, not our business, but the overall hobby is growing so much. Where is all that coming from? Is it all domestic? What do you see in money coming into the hobby?
Well, a lot of it is childhood collectors who are now in their 30s and their 40s, 50s, rediscovering their love for the hobby. I cannot tell you how many people in the last year called up, hey, I'm back into collecting. Some of them, like people who were our customers 20 years ago, now they're back.
You're still here?
Yeah, like I'm glad you're still around. And so, and I'm like, well, thanks for your support, for the lack of support for the last 20 years, but hey, thanks for coming back. Now, so we're thankful for all of our customers, whether they've shopped with us continually for 30 years.
Absolutely.
But we're seeing a lot of people come back, and some of them have money now that they didn't have when they were kids or teenagers or whatever.
For sure.
And so we're seeing a lot of growth there. We're also seeing huge growth. We were talking about soccer and basketball. We're seeing a ton of dollars coming in from overseas, and their number 1 and 2 sport are soccer and basketball.
Yeah.
Because those are much more. Those are the worldwide sports.
Yes.
Yeah. And so seeing a lot of money coming from overseas. We're seeing a lot of money coming off Wall Street and coming into the card industry. I mean,
they feel safe with the graded cards being like having value and having it for a long period of time to start putting money into that.
Yeah,
obviously savings accounts right now, you're not earning very much interest at all. So there's
0.01% if you're lucky. Literally. I was talking to a bank yesterday and they're like, Mr. Davis, we can offer you 0.01%. And I want to go, can I offer you some investments in sports cards? And so,
that's amazing.
But yeah, literally, you know, they're not earning anything on CDs or savings accounts, so they're looking for something better. And I mean, we're not talking about people saying, hey, I want to spend $1,000 on a box of Prism. We're talking about people who say, hey, I've got 100,000 I'd like to put into or I've got $500,000 or whatever. I mean, and I've had so many calls this year, consulting companies wanting me to do consulting for them with people who are getting into the hobby, wanting to know how to invest in the hobby. And I know a lot of other, I know Jeff from Sport Card Investor deals with the same thing. And people call him, you know, looking for investment advice, and they're not wanting to buy some Griffey rookies. They're wanting to put large sums of money.
A lot of Griffey rookies.
Yes, and so we've got money coming in from all over the place, overseas, money coming off the stock market, coming into the card market. A lot of people returning to the hobby, so it's like they're coming at us from all fronts. You know, it's hard to keep up.
Well, I want to jump back. I should have said it earlier, but you said the big four last year. You were predicting big five this year. Well, you were right, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to predict a big six for next year.
All right.
Pokemon. Pokemon. I mean, how many Pokemon cards have we been grading lately?
Yeah.
It's really amazing. And again, it's 99, I think, when Pokemon first came out, somewhere around there. So not my era, but my son's era. And believe me, he's having a ball going back through his Pokemon cards. I remember getting them for him and saying, oh, here you go, your Pokemon cards. Well, he's got a Charizard that might be worth a couple $1,000. So it worked for him too. So I'm going to say 6 is going to be Pokemon. I know you thought I was going to say racing.
For racing.
Not yet.
Vroom.
That's still not. I don't know. I mean, I love it, but
right.
I'm not so sure about everybody else. And I don't know if I know we've been talking for a long time here, but if I don't get asked this question once a day, Joe, I don't feel like I've come to work. And that is, when are we going to open? When are we going to open retail store?
Well, speaking for our company, we believe safety is more important than sales. And as much as I would love to see all of our regulars in the store on a regular basis, we are still sticking with the curbside option where we can safely socially distance outside. And so I don't have a timetable yet. We're doing our best to provide all the same services. I mean, we have customers call in singles orders. We have, we've got curbside option on the website. We're continuing to add more product there. So I look forward to that day. Eagerly look forward to it because it's very frustrating. It makes it harder. I mean, this past Saturday, Steve and I were frozen because we were outside most of the day, pre-screening cards out in the 30-degree weather. It was very cold, but we still believe that's the safest thing to do right now. We have we've been rearranging the retail space. It's a little bit smaller now, and so we have a limited amount of walk-in space, and we just can't cram 30 people in there at a time. It just would not be, I could not live with myself doing that. It just wouldn't be safe.
Well, I appreciate that. And I know people want to come in. You have a great store. I always liked coming in and chatting about the industry with your employees. I mean, is the best, but we have so many people that it would be nice to do that again. One day, soon, just like you're going to get your PSA cards back soon, we're going to open up soon. I promise.
And when we can, we'll be hosting parties again. We'll run the whole gamut and stuff. But just gotta do it right now. I mean, things as we record this, things are worse than ever according to the news, and so we just rather be safe. I mean, a lot of school systems in our area have shut down and gone back to digital for the same reason. So we will continue to offer everything we can to you. Online, and for those who are local, curbside, we'll run boxes out to you, we'll pull singles orders for you, whatever. And it's actually been interesting that we've had a lot of customers who never shopped on our website who were like, "Oh wow, you've got a website with all this cool stuff on it." I'm like, yeah, we really do. And so a lot of our business, as you know, is local customers placing orders and coming to pick them up. So
Yeah, we still have we're still able to get you product, get you some, opening up that wax. It's no better feeling. Some of the new products that are out are so nice, and we try to get as many in as we can to satisfy all the needs, but I'm just telling you, it's arduous from my perspective for you to try to get as much of any new product that's coming out right now. It seems like everybody cuts you short or only gets you so much, and it's tough. It's tougher now than it ever has been, for sure.
But the little bit we get on GotBaseballCards.com. So, what else? We got a big year ahead of us.
Yeah, 2021. I know we have our sports that have figured out how to, without fans in attendance. And when I was watching the hockey game the other night, I could have swore they were piping in sound. Yeah, because in the playoffs, which just ended for hockey, you could hear the chatter of the players and the bench hollering to the other players on the ice what's coming, who's coming up on them. And I think that they actually decided that they'd rather put noise out there so that the teams can still do the same thing they used to do. I may be wrong. It sounded like they were feeding in, when it was in Philadelphia, and when Philadelphia scored a goal, there was cheering. And I know there were no fans in there to get that cheering down. But we have a big year coming up, 2021. We don't see any slowing down.
No.
We're very excited, though, aren't we?
We are. Yeah, I mean, we think it's we've got another really strong football crop coming up. We've got, I believe, even a stronger basketball crop next year. You can tell me on hockey, but I mean, this has been a good year for hockey. We only move it mainly through the store, but it's been
training camps and preseason, you get a feel for a lot of those guys, and they just didn't have it this year. I know there's certain hockey players that are selling very well right now, but as soon as they start getting on the ice, we start seeing some numbers. I mean, Alex Ovechkin, again, I haven't seen Washington. I assume he's playing, and he's very close to some of those milestones, those
he's moving up there in the all-time
career. Thank you, career milestones.
Yeah.
So it's very exciting for me in hockey, but all the sports. Just glad to have them back. Glad to get them. We didn't miss any playout. We didn't miss any champions. Even college football, we have a national champion. So they did a really good job figuring out how to get it done.
Yeah,
because we went for 4 or 5 months with nothing.
Yeah, and I applaud all the commissioners and the directors because they're juggling and trying to work with logistics they never dreamed they'd have to work with.
Absolutely.
And so David Stern did a phenomenal job. The fact that we had an NBA season last year and were able to have the playoffs was an amazing job that he pulled off. So
I agree. Saying thank you seems a little simple, but in reality, as a sports fan, we thank all of the league, even the players that had to go through all of those COVID tests all the time. I've not been tested for COVID, but I don't think it's very pleasant, and they had to do it every day,
and being in the bubble away from a lot of them away from families could not have been.
Even the referees, I mean, nobody gives any ref, but they all were in the same boat for sure.
But we're hoping every league will have a full year this year.
Definitely.
And see the playoffs, and we are really excited here. We've got so many things coming down the pipe, more products, more. We've just added new innovations to start giving customers real-time updates for PSA grading, and so hope to continue to serve more and more. We hope to have 1,000 different accounts by the end of the year, helping 1,000 different customers with their grading. So continue to grow, continue to try to serve you the best we can, and so make sure and comment. Let us know your predictions for 2021. Maybe we can also revisit it and
give them bring us your cards. The ones that were 20, 30, 40 years ago, you're not sure, for free. We can give you a quick assessment. And if it's a large quantity to where you can't just bring them in to us, we will go to you.
Yeah.
I mean, even in the COVID times.
Oh, yeah.
We will mask up and
looked at plenty.
and help you out for free obviously, and we can help you to facilitate selling of them or grading of them. You know,
Right.
we can give you the advice that is very helpful to know. And then if you decide, no, I'm just going to put them back in the box and I'm going to put them back in the drawer, it's no harm, no foul.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, we do fail to mention we are one of the largest buyers of sports cars in the country. So, and we're primed for a big old collection to come in, and love to have to do a major cleanup just to fit it all in here. So let us know. We will come to you. We do transactions all over the globe. So love to work with you. But so we're gonna sign off for this episode, our review and preview, and
Look back and then, more importantly, looking forward.
that's right. So I think it's going to be a fantastic year in the hobby. Can't wait. Every day is a new adventure here. And so looking forward to what the hobby has in store for us in the year ahead. So we appreciate you tuning in to the Got Baseball Cards channel. Make sure to follow us on Facebook as well, where we have a regular show, Sports Cards Live with Joe and Doug. So we have plenty to offer to you, and we appreciate all your business and tuning in. So share with a friend. And signing off for Joe.
And Doug, thank you for joining us.